Hello, you've caught me ready to settle down with a montage of all my favourite boss victories. He just tracks me!
Yeah.
Dodge! Heal! I'm pressing the flipping button! I'm trying! I was trying to heal! How are you supposed to dodge that? I'm dead! No! Oh, for God's sake! Move, Leon! Move, Leon!
Oh, well, no.
Why are you fighting me, you idiots? There's a dragon here! I'm so sick and tired. Oh, God. I think this is the wrong video file. What follower? Contrary to what you just watched, I think I'm pretty handy in a fight against a big bad. In my 30 years of gaming, I've chewed through more bosses than the Premier League. I've slayed the biggies, both in terms of height and reputation, and I've battered the idiosyncratic picks. I've even done the super secret optional bosses. But they don't put those in the hilarious Rob being bad at bosses montage. If I'm being totally honest with you, and of course I am, I'm a YouTuber, I think many bosses are a bit of a pushover. I've sensed them getting cockier over the years, relying on old tricks I learned to overcome decades ago, and making the same mistakes that sent hundreds of their predecessors to the great big boss rush in the sky. Can you blame them? You'd probably grow complacent if you had a health bar that nudged both sides of a widescreen TV, or a choir that followed you around bellowing out your own name. Talk about an ego boost. So, bosses, come and take a seat next to Uncle Rob and prepare for a few lessons in self-preservation. Here are 7 things video game bosses really need to stop doing. Number 1, stop drawing attention to weak points. Yes, I'm looking at you. Giant eyes on robots, gooey sacks on spider things, gooey sacks on caterpillar things, ancient sigils revealed with sunbeams, heat vents on stomp bots, glyphs carved into troll limbs, the engine cores of spaceships, cannon ports on battleships, big eyes attached to tentacles, even bigger eyes attached to bigger tentacles, pustules on alien mutants, pustules on regular mutants. Pustules on any kind of mutant, really. Not to mention tanks of flamethrower fuel, sparking conduits, and bright purple dinner plates superglued to a very grumpy boulder. Oh, and what's this? A regenerator from Resi 4 with no visible flaws or weaknesses? Don't be silly, you're just a thermal scope away from discovering glowing parasites having a house party inside. There's honestly no escaping the weak points. I don't get it. These are dog-eat-dog worlds. How did these bosses ascend their respective organisations with such frailties on display? Don't broadcast them for the world to see, especially in the age where HDR TVs make any glowing spot burn with the intensity of a freshly erupted Vesuvius. Why weren't these creatures taught, as all British people are, to take those vulnerabilities and crush them down, swallow them? Bury them, put them where no one will ever find them. Mine are guarded by 2 mercenaries I found on the dark web, locked behind a laser grid inside an uncrackable safe. You will never know what they are. Number 2, bosses with short fuses who get goaded into charging into brick walls. A classic berserker mistake this. The boss runs, the hero dodges, the boss blunders past and becomes living wallpaper. That's true whether you're fighting the Minotaur in Hades, half man, half bull, soon to be all wall, or using Arkham Asylum's claustrophobic interiors to become the bane of Bane's existence. You can forget Robin and Nightwing if you haven't already. It turns out Batman's greatest sidekick is masonry. How could rampagers avoid this fate? Invest in grippier shoes, perhaps. Maybe pick a fight in a safer environment, a bouncy castle or a mattress warehouse. If your one big trick is indiscriminate sprinting, certainly ask your landlord about removing any spikes from the property. Or even better, take a beat and centre yourself. Is rampaging truly the answer? Are you really running towards Batman? Or are you maybe running away from your problems? He's definitely running towards Batman, as you were. The third mistake bosses keep making? Giving heroes a chance to heal before the big fight. You know the kind of thing. Installing a comfy bench in a vending machine full of powerful magic accessories at the entrance to a boss arena, even if said boss arena is in a temple built thousands of years ago, back when benches and vending machines would have been burned for witchcraft. But it's a vending machine made of stone, so therefore historically accurate. Another good one, like a dragon's tiny refrigerators conveniently placed in derelict buildings to max out your health and MP before any major rumble. Are we really meant to believe that the criminal underworld are fastidiously restocking hundreds of miniature drinks cabinets strategically placed to lower their own chances of survival? No, if you want to increase your chances of winning, you have to make your opponent feel as uncomfortable as possible, which is why when I play Rosie in Crash Team Racing, I let her enjoy my magic winning hat and a private supply of aircon. Are you ready? If you could make one part of your body massive, what would it be? No, I haven't accidentally slipped into my email spam folder. I'm questioning the proliferation of giant arms in boss fights. Think about it. Dyne in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the Tyrant in Resident Evil 1, William Birkin in Resident Evil 2, Krauser in Resident Evil 4, Resi 5, Resi 6, the Umbrella Chronicles. Seriously, what is it with the Resident Evil and giant arms? Perhaps arms are jacked in the Resiverse because everyone spends so much time interacting with stiff door handles in listed buildings. Either way, I am puzzled by the tactic of growing a single massive arm. I'm not questioning the benefits of it. Think of all the jam jar lids you'd never struggle with again. I bet William Birkin never went without his peanut butter on toast, did he? But why call it a day at the one arm? It feels like a job half done. Pop out a second giant limb, and that's 2 times the shields for old Krauser, twice as much junk you can hurl in Barrett's face, and double the opportunity to turn Leon's head into a bloody pulp. Pulp that Birkin could then presumably store in a peanut butter jar. Oh, God, it's just not going to open. Has anybody got any T-virus? Of course, when a boss does have 2 massive arms, it often makes mistake number 5, being careless with giant fingers. And I'm not talking about a thumb war, although I am very good at those. Or maybe it's just the weak level of competition round here. No, I'm talking about those scenes where a sky-blotting boss looms over the fight and swats at you with digits the size of double-decker buses, but in the process lets you jab at its gargantuan pinky like me going to town on cocktail sausages at a buffet. You just wait for that jumbo fist to hit the deck, and then you pummel the attack button like you've never pummeled an attack button before. It's the tactic that saw Kratos fighting off Kronos and becoming the world's worst reviewed manicurist in the process. It's how Nier Automata's fragile androids evened the odds against an army of sentient oil rigs. And I've obviously got to include Titan Lost from Final Fantasy XVI, 16 being the number of minutes I spent slowly killing Titan Lost one finger flick at a time. Don't bosses realise that if they just kept their hands to themselves, the hero wouldn't be able to reach them to hurt them? They'd be looking up at that giant brute, contemplating its death, imagining how good it would look with its head on a stick, remembering all those times they've been wronged and they've just been there stewing, thinking of all the horrible ways they could enact their revenge. What? In theory, bosses should always have a home advantage. They get to pick the location of the brawl, so should opt for arenas that amplify their power, contain traps for the hero, and offer loose debris should you wish to make a giant telekinetic arm. If I built an arena for myself, it would have a trough full of Dr. Pepper so I could replenish my health, and maybe some spotlights I could bounce off my dazzling bald head to blind my foe. But not every boss got the memo. So number 6 on the list, bosses who get killed by their own environment. Take God of War 2's Perseus. On paper, his helm of invisibility should be a game changer. But he doesn't fight on paper. He fights in water, where every ripple is a signpost telling Kratos to start murdering here. At least he's well placed to wash the Perseus off his hands afterwards. It's the same lack of foresight that sees God of War 1's Hydra thrash about next to a conveniently pointy mast, or Eco's Queen filling her throne room with magic-resistant statues enough that Eco can carve a path to the one sword capable of killing her. Side note, definitely chuck that thing in the bin before the fight. Or why Ripperoo makes his last stand on a river crammed with fragile TNT. Or why Kunitsugami's light-sensitive caterpillar has so many unlit torches in its cave. Or why Nemesis, in his final form, sets up shop opposite the world's largest railgun. What did he think was going to happen? To put it in language he'd understand, I give this approach 1 out of 5. Even From Software, who tend to champion skill over gimmickry, aren't above it. The Dragon God in Demon Souls? You don't need to get good, you just need to get to the giant crossbows aimed at his soft bits. Or that's what I was told. I never got past the Tower Knight. The last thing bosses need to stop doing is less of a tactical error and more of a lifestyle change I'm not sure they're giving proper consideration. I'm talking about turning into a bug/spider hybrid thing. I get the temptation if a hero has thwarted you at every turn. What have you got up your sleeve? Ah yes, a pincer arm. So you go full mutant, unfold your spine like an extendable ladder and grow some scorpion stingers out of your back. But now what? I mean, look at yourself. If you manage to win this fight, have you given a second's thought to what life is going to be like for you? Doors become a constant challenge. There's no way Mendez is fitting into his bed anymore. Look at it, it's tiny. And you can forget online dating without rigorous photo cropping. Imagine if I transformed into my insect form the moment things stopped going my way. You know, I'd never be able to read the comments again. They said what?
I regret everything. So, while I begin the long and arduous return to human form, you can cheer me up by sharing the things you think video game bosses need to stop doing. And if you really want to speed up the healing process, you can press the like button, subscribe to PlayStation Access, and click the notification bell so you never miss these Friday features or any of our other videos. Hopefully I won't be a bug when I see you again next Friday at 4 PM. Bye for now.
PlayStation